In Demand Uncut is on across Scotland on a number of commercial radio stations. So although we are a new music show that plays a lot of emerging acts that wouldn't get played on the rest of the station, we still have to take into account who's listening and who the audience is. Not just the people that tune in just for In Demand Uncut, but the show is on from 7 o'clock, which is straight after the Big Top 40, which is a chart show. So we tend to make sure that we have bigger, more familiar acts and songs playing in the first hour to kind of get people into, they can hear the change in the music, but it's still familiar to them. So like Calvin Harris or The Killers, things like that people would maybe recognise the artist. Also, when we're playing something that's new that people maybe haven't heard of at all, we sandwich it in between more familiar songs, and we make sure that Jim introduces it and speaks off the back of it so that he can say, this is the brand new track from whoever who are brand new from Glasgow, and tell a bit of a story about them, so that if you're tuning in the middle of the song, he'll come off the back of it and make sure that that's who that was. With bigger bands like Calvin Harris or The Killers or anything like that, you don't need to do that as much. So when it comes to ad breaks, you can come out of the adverts with a band or an artist that people will know.
That's quite interesting when you say about so that people know what the new music is, and it happens on a regular basis where I'll play something new and I know that I've introduced it and I back announced it, but I'll still get an email asking what it was.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always sink in, so it is vital that you tell people what the music is. I think if it's new.
I think
even if you do, they sometimes don't hear it.
Well, that's the thing with radio, is people listen to it in loads of different ways. You can be listening in your car, you could be, doing the dishes or whatever, and just hear a little bit of something. Now, you might hear the tune and somebody shouts on you just as the presenter is saying. So, yeah, you have to constantly be aware of your audience for that purposes. Some presenters, even in commercial radio, think that they're saying the same thing a lot of the time, when in actual fact they forget people might only tune in for 15 minutes, so you do have to repeat things, or it can get lost.
A thing that people at radio stations always moan about is the rotations and often things coming around, but I think as a presenter and somebody working at a radio station, you need to remember that most people are only listening for a certain time and don't hear. We work at a radio station, so we hear that Killers song 15 times a day or whatever.
Yeah. Well, here at Clyde, Rita Ora is on the A-list at the moment, and people are like, oh man, it started off they loved the song, and now presenters and people are like, oh man, we play this all the time. And unless you're listening, not many people listen to a radio station from first thing in the morning until last thing at night. Some people in workplaces do have it on, and but most people don't. Most people listen for like little small chunks. And a lot of people want to hear that song that they really like, when they tune in, which is why rotations can be quite tight.